Do you believe this stuff that's coming out of your mouth? There's no way you do.
This was a credit card cuckold.
Love wins out in the end, you know?
Welcome back, everybody. We have got a big show tonight. We got Brandon, who I call the professor. He is my brother. Okay, yeah, he is my brother, and clearly he got all the looks. I call him the professor of X's and O's. He's one of the most dedicated Ohio State Buckeye fans when it comes to X's and O's. He really digs in. So we got Brandon Wandell leading off. How's it going up there in Perrysburg?
Too many Michigan fans, but other than that,
you're right there. That's acceptable because you're right up there by the border. You know what I'm saying? Douglas William Wade, the Ohio State Buckeye, former #1 man on the golf team. Yeah, you're down in the Natty where the girls call me Daddy, Fred Durst. It's probably 50 degrees down there.
Well, it got up to 23 today. I mean, it felt like 50. I was out in short sleeve, hit a couple balls outside, no big deal.
How nice is that? Later on, Captain Cardinal Ed Conley and the VP of Hype later on tonight. Doug, did you hear me the other day call Ed? Don't you dare say I was 0 for 6 when I was 1 for 11.
Yes, and I did laugh out loud. Yes,
it's not fair.
Was good.
It's not fair. He's too sweet of a human being to have
Thank God he hit that one. Thank God he hit that one.
Brandon, all right, my man, listen. This is it. The Ohio State Buckeyes, Notre Dame, Fighting Irish. The point spread opened at 8.5, jumped to 9.5. Somewhere right around there. Just give us your thoughts on that game, on this game coming up, first of all, and then we'll talk about just their performance leading up to it the last few weeks.
I've been digging into this quite a bit. I'm a huge Ohio State fan, as you can probably see from all the memorabilia behind me. This playoff run has been exceptional, very exciting, especially because I was at the Horseshoe on my birthday, the day they lost to Michigan. So extremely excruciating way to end the season, and this is definitely eased the pain quite a bit. Looking at Notre Dame, my opinion is that the point spread probably is where it should be. I don't think Notre Dame matches up really well with Ohio State. I know a lot of the comparisons that I'm reading are, 0-2 Ohio State, the 2002 Ohio State team versus Miami, how you had that very disciplined trestle ball style offense, really good defense, and how they were able to limit Miami, get some turnovers, and win that game. That's kind of what people are hanging their hat on. I think Marcus Freeman coaches the team in a way similar to Jim Tressel. Obviously, played for him, learned from him. Tressel mentors him, so I think you can see the similarities there, right? And I think that gives you, as a Buckeye fan, growing up with in the Tressel years, it does give you some pause that there's opportunity for Notre Dame to be able to make this tight game and bring it down to the wire. Where I deviate from that is Notre Dame's primary defensive coverage is cover one. They like to play a lot of man. They like to blitz. That's not going to work against Ohio State. You look at what Texas did. Texas has 2 or 3, first day draft picks on their defense in the secondary. They were able to play a lot of zone. They were able to limit plays. They were able to do a lot of things that slowed down that offense. I don't think Notre Dame is going to be able to play that type of defense. I think first of all, it's tough for a college team to learn a new base scheme in 10 days, right? Yeah. So they're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't, right? You run man coverage and you have to deal with wide receivers in one-on-one. Puts them in a bad spot. If they try to learn a new scheme, they could be confused. Also puts them in a bad spot. So I think that's number one. The other statistic I saw that was very telling for me is that they are like 50th or 60th in the country in defending gap scheme runs. So if you look at Ohio State over the year, a lot of what they did was zone scheme, right? So they, offensive line hat on a hat, just block the guy in front of you, and then the running back finds the open hole, inside zone, outside zone. I don't think Ohio State's offensive line has been good enough to execute that scheme. So if you look at the playoff run going back from, to Tennessee, Oregon, not as much against Texas, but they transitioned to this gap scheme, counter type run game where they're pulling their guard, they're pulling their center, pulling their tackle. They're doing a lot of misdirection. And you've seen that. That's how like Travion Henderson gets on the edge and he's busted out those long runs against Tennessee and Oregon. That type of scheme has given Notre Dame a lot of trouble. You saw that a lot when they played Penn State. So I think if you pair those two things together, right, you have you have a running game that's going to present a challenge for them, and then you have a base coverage passing defensive scheme that it's gonna be difficult to hold up against Ohio State's wide receiving core. My personal opinion is that Ohio State has to turn the ball over 3 or 4 times for this game to be within 2 scores. That's just on the offensive side of the ball. Going to the other side, they brought in Riley Leonard from Duke, big time transfer quarterback, not a great passer. I think if I looked at his passing numbers for the year, his completion percentage is around 62%. Not a lot of downfield passing, kind of short passing game similar to what Texas does. They rely heavily on Jeremiah Love, their running game, and then on Leonard to move the chain. I think Ohio State's run defense has proven to be the best in the country. They gave up negative 23 rushing yards to Oregon. Now, obviously, a lot of that was because of sack yardage and things like that, but I think they still held them under 50. They held Texas 53 yards, and I don't think Tennessee had very much over positive rushing yards either. So I don't foresee a situation where Ohio State could play poorly enough where they're going to be able to give up enough points and make enough mistakes on the offensive side of the ball that would lead them losing the game.
Douglas, to you, my friend, what do you think?
Just playing devil's advocate, over the last 4 or 5 years, the biggest issue Ohio State has had is against running quarterbacks. Notre Dame's strength is their running quarterback. And secondly, throughout the last, even this whole season, whether it's the Tennessee game, the Michigan game, and even the second half of the Texas game, our offense seems to go in lulls. We go in spurts. We look explosive, and then we hide for quarters at a time. Texas played primarily this prevent defense. Yeah. And just kept us in front of them. Notre Dame is clearly going to try to do that same thing. They're going to try to run and control the clock. They're going to try to scramble with the quarterback on third downs to move the chains. Are you concerned that they're going to be able to get a lot of 3-down first downs, cut the game in half time-wise, and 1 or 2 mistakes by Ohio State may be enough, for an outcome similar to that Michigan game?
If you would have asked me that question a month ago, I probably would say yes. One reason that I will deviate from that is, going back to your comment on running quarterbacks, Nico Amaliava at Tennessee was running quarterback, and he got some yards, but I think he was held pretty much in check in the running game. And then Dylan Gabriel, second time around, completely contained, not able to get outside the pocket. They had 8 sacks. And the reason that has become easier for Ohio State is they've transitioned to this scheme where they've brought Caleb Downs out of the too high safety look and stuck him in the middle of the field. So if you go back to a couple years ago, Clemson had they had a safety. I'm trying to think of what his name is now. It was Isaiah
Simmons.
Isaiah Simmons, that's right. Yep, he was kind of like a safety linebacker hybrid, and they would put him in the middle of the field, and he could play rover and kind of be outside of the defensive scheme. I think that's unlocked Ohio State's ability to spy the quarterback, to be able to contain, what you're talking about as far as them getting outside the tackle box and being able to make plays with their legs. And even going, back to what you were saying as far as cutting the game short, I don't envision Notre Dame being able to sustain drives throughout the game where they would be able to do that. And then, with the prevent defense, I think, if you go back and look at that Texas game, right? They go down, they score 7 points right off the rip. First drive, crisp, fitting in. Will Howard's fitting the ball into tight windows. Second drive, they move the ball 50 yards, and they're in scoring position again. And then Travion Henderson, I still want to know what that defensive tackle is.
So do I.
He's a level-headed kid. He never really gets in those situations. So he commits that personal foul, moves them back 15 yards, and they're punting three plays later. And I think we saw that a couple times throughout the game. My biggest concern in this game is that if Ohio State's not able to get out to a quick lead in the first quarter and they kind of stay in this low-scoring game like they did with Texas, I think it'll give Notre Dame momentum. But if they come out firing on all cylinders like they have been, I see them building a lead and forcing Notre Dame out of that grinded out run first type offense, and it's going to put them in a pretty tough position.
I agree. I think we're better offensively. Notre Dame is arguably the best defense we're going to play against all year. They've been unbelievable.
They look amazing.
They're very, very disciplined, but that doesn't mean they're going to be able to stop us. I mean, I would still take our offense over their defense, 7 days a week in that matchup. They are good enough to slow us down. They are good enough to cause turnovers. You look at the other side of the ball, however, and I think it's extremely lopsided in our favor.
Right.
They've got their left tackle's going to be out for this game. I think they've got 3 starting offensive linemen that are going to be out.
Oh, they did that. They're starting left. Yeah.
Their running back has been banged up for weeks. We know they can't throw the ball. I don't know how they score on us.
I agree. I don't. How the hell Penn State?
I
don't know what the
lower
hell's going
scoring
on.
game. I think I really like the under in this game, but I expect
What's
a
the
lower
total?
scoring game.
What's
I think
the
it's 46.5 or something?
Oh no,
like that.
I don't know how they keep Ohio State bottled in.
No,
Okay.
Even if
Go
Ohio
ahead,
State
Doug.
scores
Go ahead. I'm
30,
sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
Even if Ohio State scores 30, does the game go over? I don't think so.
I think 30 to 30 to
I don't think it is. I think we're looking more at about a 24 or 27 to 13 type game.
Interesting. Yeah, it could be. Yeah.
I think we're in command. I think we take the lead. We've been great in the first half.
Mm-hmm.
And once we get up over 7 points, that is a daunting task for Notre Dame's offense to try to overcome. We will feel much more comfortable up 10 against Notre Dame than we did against Texas, than we did against Oregon or Tennessee, for that matter. In my opinion, I think all 3 of those teams have better offenses than Notre Dame.
Oh yeah.
So if we can just get that lead, if we can get that big first quarter, get up double digits, it is going to be very, very daunting. And that's why I expect the game to go under. I think we just take control. We start running the game, and we know that Notre Dame's going to have a tough time scoring. If we're up 10 to 14 points, what are they going to do? All we got to do is run the ball.
No, you're right.
And so, I mean, I guess we'll see. That's just kind of how I see the game playing out.
Doug, that makes total sense. And Brandon, you're talking about our defense. Have you ever in your life seen a play like Jack Sawyer made?
I think I woke up my entire neighborhood. I go back and think of all the great plays that we've witnessed as Buckeye fans. I mean, that's in the top 3 for sure. When he ripped that flag out of that Michigan player's hand and threw it on the ground, that was the beginning of the transformation of this team, right? He's kind of become the leader of that movement.
It was like from a movie, just the way it bounced into him, and it's like he's running in slow motion and the whole feel of it. But what's interesting is obviously everybody's focused on that one play, but he had dominated that game throughout. And not only that, he was unbelievable against Oregon. And he was fantastic against Tennessee. It's like you said, Brandon, ever since this Michigan game, this whole team is like this different mentality, and he's leading the way with his play. And I was trying to think, after this happened the last couple of days, I've been thinking about when's the last time a defensive player has carried a team throughout a playoff run. I mean, the only thing I could really think of is Sam Darnold with the Rams a few years ago, when he just dominated 3 straight playoff games, and then the Rams won the Super Bowl. It's hard to think about a defensive lineman that is carrying a team on his shoulders the way this kid is right now. And it's
not
fun
Sam.
to watch.
Not Sam. I mean, I'm not Sam Darnold.
Aaron Donald.
I'm sorry. Aaron Darnold with the Rams.
I was like, Sam Darnold.
Well, I mean,
that was a Casey moment. That's funny.
Our VP of Hype's been talking up Darnold so much over the last couple of weeks, it was just in my head.
That's true. I mean, he definitely he was dominant. I can't remember the last time in college that I've watched a defensive player take over games the way that Jack Sawyer has. Someday we'll thank Michigan for waking up the giant, right? I don't personally think this happens if they win that game.
When you look at this, the moment, this little bubble that we're in, and the dominance and the spirit and what it's doing for the team and for the fan base. Personally, I've never seen anything like it. So I totally agree with you in terms of what Jack Sawyer's doing. The whole defense is great, but he's become the face of it, Brandon. Like you said, it started with that flag. This is going to be a template for teams moving forward. They're going to say, when they lose late to their rival, they're going to look at the 2024 Ohio State Buckeyes and go, look at what is still ahead of us. If this isn't a testament to the human spirit, if this isn't a testament of a phoenix rising from the ashes and an example for everyone to look at, I'm serious. You look at this team and Ryan Day. Shame on everyone out there. Because I am not one of them. Shame. I'm going to tell you something. And I'm a pretty big take the high road guy. If I was Ryan Day, I might have taken that mic and be like, "Hey, let me have a moment with some of you." Because he was getting hammered. 30 years from now, they'll always use the 2024 Ohio State Buckeyes. Crushing loss at home to their rival. The entire nation of their fan base just pummeling. The doom and gloom. And then the flag gets ripped out. Number 33 says, "Give me that." Yeah. You don't put that flag here. You don't plant your damn flag here, son. Number 33 and Blackbeard, Coach Ryan Day, and the boys, they go in that locker room and they say, "Oh, we still have football left to play." And those motherfuckers, look at me. I'm all jacked up like I'm 12 years old again. Like I'm looking at that Kirk Brandon, like I'm looking at my Kirk Herbstreit poster in my bedroom. Let's figure up. Parting thoughts.
First thought, we need to change the playoff format more often. 2014, first 14 playoff. Ohio State runs table. 2024, first 12-team playoff. And here we are in the same position. So I guess maybe we need to expand next year too.
That's right.
I do agree with you. I'm really happy for Ryan Day. I've never been one of those Ohio State fans that was like, "Oh, he's got to go." I think everybody's confidence wavered after this fourth Michigan. But what he's done has been a masterclass in how to manage a team, over a longer season than we've ever seen before. Keep them healthy, and also pick them up off the mat, right, and get them ready for a title run. So not only have the players been playing fantastic, the coaching staff has put together game plans and schemes that have been far and away better than what we've seen throughout the entire season. So that's really exciting to see. As far as prediction for the game, I'm in a similar mindset with Doug. I think it's going to be lower scoring. I think Ohio State gets out to an early lead, and then I think they kind of just sit, right? Their defense is going to keep them from scoring. If they get up by 14, you're going to see a lot of run, a lot of Travion Henderson, a lot of Quinshon Judkins, and defense just hold them in check. I think you're looking at 31-17, 31-13 type game. I think it'll be pretty comfortable win.
Ladies and gentlemen, Brandon Wandell, my younger brother, the guru, the Ohio State professor. Thanks for joining us tonight, B. And I think the only thing left to say is go Bucks.
Yeah, go Bucks. Thanks for having me.
Hey, my pleasure. We'll catch you on the flip side, brother. Have a great night.
Yep, you too.
All right, see you, Brandon.
Joining us now, please welcome Captain Cardinal Ed Conley and the VP of Hype, Dominic Rose.
One little feather out of place.
Who, Case?
You.
I don't use hair gel.
What do you mean? What do you mean? Who Case? He said Doug.
I didn't hear him say Doug. It went in now.
You don't need to worry about my Hollywood hair, boy.
Your Hollywood hair's rocking.
I know it is. You don't even worry about it.
He's
okay?
got the Pat McAfee thing going.
The Pat McAfee energy. That's right. I've heard that several times. I take it as a tremendous compliment.
You got it, man.
We're out at the Oregon game, and these ladies behind me, they just could not. And I mean this. It was very sweet, very nice. They couldn't get over it. They just thought I was Pat McAfee's freaking twin brother. And
was that when you were sitting outside of like that coffee shop?
No, at the game itself.
Oh,
at the game itself. Buckeye fans, these ladies that were sitting behind us. Edward, my man.
Yes, sir.
Ed, they kind of do the same thing. You got to turn your phone to portrait orientation. I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right
Ed,
now,
on your phone, make sure that it's not locked.
So
we got to switch you.
Yes.
Yep. There it is. That's the one. There it is.
Can you guys hear me?
Dom, I heard you.
Dom's not on.
Okay.
He needs to get back out and get back on. Dom's a mess right now.
I can hear Dom, but you guys can't hear Dom.
And that's correct.
Okay.
Can't see him either.
Dom, we can't see or hear you. You're gonna have to get off again.
That might be the best way to do this pod. You can't see or hear Dom. Yeah.
There
he is.
There we go.
Dom.
Wow, what a panel this is.
Don't lump me into this shit. I'm trying to get you. It's like, you know what it's like trying to
You're
herd
the
a bunch of
ringleader.
cats.
You're the ringleader.
No shit. It's like herding cats, like outside, like calling cats in.
It's Mo, Larry, and Curly, and then they added that fourth guy, Shemp, or whatever the hell his name was.
I think Shemp was an original and was replaced by
Curly.
Larry. Curly?
Frankly, if I'm being honest, I mean, I'm not. There's two of us, Ed and I, that don't quite fit into the stooge category. But I'm looking at two fucking stooges.
It's Curly,
right
bro.
now.
Ed's Curly.
I mean, you two, Dom and Doug, you should. I mean, Ed, you should hear these. Like these two, where I have literally multiple times. I'm on my phone, like, how do I get out of this text conversation? It won't let me. It won't let me eject. These two, some days it's like I'm babysitting my siblings' two
Ed, you know better.
7-year-old
Ed,
kids.
you know better.
Oh my God, these two.
I mean, I haven't met you yet, Doug, so I can't say that I do know better.
Yeah, but you know
So-
Casey in these. You know
Hey.
Casey in these tangents.
I got to side with my boy on this.
Doug, you don't understand. You're looking at the most. You're not gonna get. You think you're gonna get Ed to side with you to bust my chops? Man, you're silly.
No chance.
No.
Yeah.
All right, boys. Listen, we already talked to the Brandonian Empire. My brother Brandon, who's he's a tactician when it comes to the X's and O's. Now we get a chance to talk to you two. Let's just be honest. We got some ball busting to do with Dominic. Let's just start with the Vikings and your boy Sam Darnold.
Well, Sam Darnold reverted to the old Sam Darnold where he's seeing ghosts. And I think you two need to man up and admit when you're wrong, because I've done that with Ryan Day in Ohio State, and we'll get into that later. But I said, you want to pay him $50 million on a sample size of less than a year. He's some MVP. He's this, he's that. I'm like, pump the brakes.
I mean,
What I
Doug
say-
is the only one that suggested he was an MVP candidate.
He was. I didn't suggest it. He's
I mean,
best odds
you
to be MVP.
said top 3, and he was way down the list, at least 5.
Well, he had the fifth best
least
odds, and that's only because his name was Darnold. Had his name been anything but Darnold, he would have been probably the second or third best candidate. Dom, I have a couple hypothetical questions. Number one, scenario A: the Vikings paid Darnold $40 million a year, trade McCarthy for the number 3 pick, and get Travis Hunter. Okay. Or scenario 2, they don't pay the ghost man Sam Darnold. They let him go, and they
Bite your
anoint
tongue.
J.J. McCarthy to a 14-3 rostered team next year. What do you want to happen? A or B?
B.
Oh my God! Dace.
Why would they need Travis? Why would they need Travis Hunter when they have Justin Jefferson? That's the dumbest thing I've ever
Travis
heard.
Hunter's a cornerback.
He's a
He's
lockdown corner.
He's a cornerback.
Dom,
not
you
a
are
receiver.
Whatever.
Oh my God!
Whatever. You gonna draft
I mean,
a
he would-
cornerback at 3? No.
I love him.
Oh my God, Dom.
Ed,
What do you?
Ed,
Hold on. These two yahoos, mind you, the Browns and the Cowboys. None of
why
which.
are you calling me
Compl-
Yahoo? What have I
complete-
done?
That has nothing to do
You're a
with.
part of this, Mister. You're a part of this. You're egging on. You're egging on. You're laughing. You're
I'm
just
what?
a little. You're the guy behind the scenes poking.
We're gonna go down the panel. Ed, would you rather have A or B if you're a Vikings fan?
You have to assign the dollar number
I
beside
did.
the person.
Darnold for $40
Because right-
million.
Okay, but right now the Vikings, after they let him go, they have $70 million in cap space.
Okay, so you sign Darnold for 40, you get the number 3 draft pick in the draft, and you've still got $30 million left. So I'm asking,
They're not
scenario
gonna get-
A,
They're not going to get the number 3 draft pick for J.J. McCarthy.
there's been rumors that the Giants are willing to offer the 3rd pick for JJ.
Unproven.
Dom, it's hypothetical. Relax.
JJ would be the first quarterback off the board this year if he
Tom,
was coming out.
I gave you a hypothetical question. Whether it comes true or not, I asked you A or B hypothetically.
And you said
chose
B.
B. Ed chose A. I choose A.
I said A.
I say A.
I say A. No, the good news is you already got Justin Jefferson. You don't need another.
Yeah, you don't need
lockdown
a shutdown cornerback, the most valuable.
You don't need a lockdown corner.
Who's the dude from Colorado? Isn't the dude from
Oh
Colorado?
my
He plays
God.
both ways, right? Isn't he a wide receiver
Yeah,
too?
but they all know he's projected as a cornerback in the NFL.
He's a cornerback.
He's like
gonna
Deion
get
Sanders, bro.
Okay, I don't follow Colorado. I don't care about them.
Listen, Ed, Dominic is again similar to you. He's just an awesome person, right? Not similar to you. his fandom, his sports fanhood. He's like someone's grandpa or great grandpa. You know how like a grandpa would go, what are you talking about? We don't need a damn receiver. We've got just, and we're all going, okay, grandpa, you got it. It makes, I mean, Doug and I were talking about this offline. The things he says, like, at halftime of the Rose Bowl, Buckeye Nation's going crazy celebrating. We're mid-third quarter. Dom texts, he's like, hey, you guys, Ohio State's winning, kicking ass. You see that? It's like, okay, Gramps, like, we're what? We got it. But it's fucking Dominic here.
Okay.
It's incredible.
You know what? You're Mother Goose. You just the fables, the fairy tales that come out of your mouth.
There's no fairy tales here, Dom.
Oh, those are fairy tales. Those are fairy tales. First of all, you both should apologize for saying that you would pay Sam Darnold $50 million guaranteed to come back. And it wouldn't have just been for 1 year; it'd have been for 3 years guaranteed. So
don't let the facts get in the way of a good story. What we said was, if he went to the Super Bowl, if nobody wants to. It's not Dominic. It's the way that the structure works in the NFL. Ed, you heard the pod. We weren't saying pay him. What we said was he's in line, and that was before the Lions, and then before this.
Right? Yeah,
Now,
absolutely. That was 2 weeks ago before he looked like Sam Darnold. Yeah.
All right, look. What I do in this world is I bring unity. Let us turn our attention to a subject we can all agree upon. Very big football game coming up Monday. Dom, we'll start with you. Give us your thoughts.
This has been the most exciting 3 games to ever watch. The way that they came out with Tennessee, the way that they laid it on Oregon that was the most fun I've ever had watching a game. I don't like close games. I like when we actually just crush the competition. It is so fun to watch. I don't see Notre Dame winning it. The unknown pick sixes, or you've seen a game have its own personality, where you have, in case you know what I'm talking about, where you're betting on a game and it's the other team fumbled the ball, somehow they keep recovering it. It starts to have a life of its own, and it starts to build momentum. That's the only way I think I can see Ohio State losing, is just these unheard of 1 in 1,000 chances of a ball bouncing wrong, scoop up and score. Now it's 14-0. Now Ohio State's, they're all looking at themselves. What the hell's going on? Now Notre Dame starts believing that maybe. Outside of that, no, I think Ohio State beats them by 14 to 21 points. Now, fellas, look at the 2002 national championship. Would you have said Ohio State had a chance against Miami?
Interesting. Brandon said the same thing. I had not heard that comparison until tonight. Edward, we'll shift to you, my friend. The floor is yours. Go ahead.
All the statistics say that Notre Dame is the best man-to-man defense team in the country. They have 11 picks on defense when in man-to-man coverage. Fortunately, the Buckeyes thrive in man-to-man coverage, so it's going to be strength on strength there. The other thing that concerns me about Notre Dame would be Riley Leonard's not taking massive shots downfield. He's getting the ball out of his hands quick, which doesn't give our pass rush time to get to him. So but also, again, strength on strength, the way that our linebackers fly around with that speed, with their speed, and the way Caleb Downs flies up from the safety position, it just it's strength on strength again. So it's going to be. I mean, I'm expecting a tighter game than I don't think that this is going to be a 21-point victory on either side. I think it's going to be a slugfest, like 21-17, something like that. It's going to be tight.
It does seem like Notre Dame needs a very specific path, very similar to the Ohio State 2002. They need a lot of things to go their way, including the tempo, the pace, maybe a couple of lucky bounces. Man, I couldn't see us losing to Michigan either, obviously, but I don't see the way that we're playing. I'll start with you, Ed. Have you seen a defense have you seen our Ohio State defense play like that? Can you remember watching a defense like this?
I don't remember a Buckeyes defense playing like this since that 2002 national championship team. I mean, with
right. That was fun too.
Guys. Yeah,
Schlegel, Carpenter, and
Schlegel. Yeah, AJ Hawk. Yeah. And then Kudla coming off the edge was a monster in college.
You forgot about Chris Gamble there too, who was just an absolute shutdown corner in that 0-2 team. But you're laughing at that. No, I've never seen it.
Well,
Corners are
was it?
important now.
What?
Did you?
He was
I
similar,
thought you
similar to
set
Travis
that up like a
Hunter.
softball. That was funny.
Gamble was Travis Hunter before Travis Hunter. He was also
Right,
an
that was-
elite receiver.
Dom,
Yeah.
was that unintentional? Because that was really
Maybe.
Oh my god. Oh my god, that was funny. Let's talk about Jack Sawyer. What about that play?
I jumped off the couch. Immediately I said, everyone's going to remember where they were during that play. Because that was a swing. They were either going to go in and tie it, and who knows what happens with the momentum, or someone just comes in, slaps it out, picks it up, and runs 85 yards the other way to dagger, and then just relieve all the stress that we had was. And coming from that guy who's Mr. Buckeye, came from Ohio State, came back for another year, took the Michigan flag and slammed it on the field and said, nah, nay, right? Okay? Not on my field.
That's right. That's right.
He's probably got scarlet and gray running through his veins.
Doug,
Hell,
you see,
when his hair turns gray, it's going to be red and gray. It's going to be, for the love of God.
In all honesty, exactly like Jack, I blacked out. I by the time he scored the touchdown, I didn't even know he scored the touchdown. I'm jumping up and down. I'm standing on top of my ottoman, hugging everybody in the room. Just absolute pandemonium in my house.
Let's think about these two plays. Everyone's going to forget about the Michigan interception, but talk about
that was
making
amazing
the
too.
biggest plays at the biggest times possible.
Right.
Is amazing.
Well, we talked about with Brandon earlier. You know, Sawyer, he plays good against Michigan. The team loses, obviously, right? Throws the flag down, and since that moment, everything's changed, and he's led this team. He's been unbelievable. He was great in every playoff game. Like
No.
But
he led the team.
So even during the regular season, he had some good. He had good stats, but there was 3 or 4 or 5 games in there in the middle of the year where you'd watch an Ohio State game, you didn't hear his name. Like his draft stock was falling a little bit. The team, it just wasn't, the energy wasn't there. The Michigan game happens, everything changes. And he has been the face of that change, of the leader of that defense from this entire playoff run. And I was thinking about this the other day, like, think back of what kind of team, or when's the last time a team has been led by like a defensive lineman who has carried them to whether it's a Super Bowl or a national championship. The only one I could really think of was Aaron Donald with the Rams a few years ago, when he just took that team put them on the back and just carried the Rams all the way to that Super Bowl. You just don't see it very often. Here's a college kid, 22 years old, draft stock right around the corner. He loses to his rival for the 4th straight time, and he somehow puts 53 guys on his back, and just for 4. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Like, what he's done as the leader of that defense.
Right. Well, and I think
go ahead.
I think an excellent comparison as far as the energy and whatnot, and the entire defense feeding off Ray Lewis. I mean, I realize different positions, but I mean,
that's a good one.
Ray Lewis fired up that Ravens defense, and they played lights out. It's exactly what Jack's doing in Columbus.
Listen, I would just those are great comparisons. I would even go a little bit further. I'd piggyback it just a little bit further. Ray Lewis, Aaron Donald, absolutely. But the emotional connection to the fan base, to the Ohio State college sports, is a little bit different. When that happened, I swear to God, I was like, if I was an atheist right now, I'd convert. There's just something about, he has lifted, and I'm telling you, it's more than football. He is, his spirit, like he is leading men in this Buckeye Nation. And then you hear him on Scott Van Pelt thanking Jesus Christ, his Savior.
That's not just Jack. Like, I mean, it's the entire team. You've seen so many, clips on TikTok or YouTube or whatnot. Like Travion Henderson said, after the penalty, first thing he did, he went to the sideline, he prayed, he asked for forgiveness. And
Is that
then
right? Oh, I'll
what?
be damned.
And then I mean, real time. What, 8 minutes later, he hits the screen pass. I mean,
It really is something. These kids, they're young men of faith, and the way Ryan Day's handled this, it is something. I personally, as a sports fan, I think this stands alone. A lot of fun, a lot of great sports members, a lot of great. I'm an old man. We're all. This stands alone, man. But the way they've done it, how they've done it, their outward response to this visceral anger and and this world we live in just feels much bigger. This Ohio State Buckeye team and what they've done in the inaugural year of this new tournament, where you couldn't have a more devastating defeat right at the beginning. What I'm saying is, for like 30 years from now, it's still going to be the standard that college football coaches use every time they trip and fall. They're going to say,
"Yep,
get the 2024 Ohio State Buckeyes. They got their faces planted. I get home again. Like, let's say Bama loses to Auburn. That's what I mean. It's big. Like, everything about how this team came together. It's bigger than football. Like the Ohio State Buckeyes of 2024, they're going to be used as an example for teams for years and years and years to come.
I mean, yeah, just going back to the whole spiritual connection. I mean, like on Jack's touchdown, you've got the view of Caleb Downs in the end zone, and Caleb. I mean, clear as day. I mean, he could have easily started celebrating. What does he do? He folds his hand, he prays, he drops to his knees.
Oh my God, I'm gonna start crying.
Absolutely,
and it was so
phenomenal.
real. Like, he was just standing in awe, and he went down to his knees. What the hell?
Couldn't believe what was happening. His only logical response was to thank God and drop to his knees. It was amazing.
All right.
I just have to say this because
No, go ahead.
We
Go
talked
ahead.
briefly about the connection with Jack. It's funny that you mentioned that you just said some things are bigger than football because so the game that our Jack Sawyer was an honorary captain with the Menor High School football team. They walked out on the field and they were playing against Euclid. Euclid presented them with shirts that I can't remember exactly what it said on the front, something about fighting childhood cancer, and the slogan on the back was "Some things are bigger than football." So,
Can I ask what did he die of? What was?
It was Ewing's sarcoma.
Man.
It's a rare form of bone cancer. All typically affects young teens.
Wow. Yeah. It feels special. The whole thing feels unique. We'll probably, who knows, we'll have another season like this ever.
This transcends fiction. I mean, it's insane.
Mhm.
That play. Oh my God! When Jack Sawyer came off the edge. Yeah, go ahead.
And I've told you that a couple of times. Like, if someone wrote this script and sent it to Hollywood, like, they'd kick it back. They'd be like, "Bro, like, okay, this is too much. Like, this is more unbelievable than Rudy. Like, give us something that might possibly be believable."
Right. I mean, you're going to have the hero come off the edge unblocked and then tackle the quarterback and not even have anybody near him pick the football up and then run down the field like there's nobody near it. It's just like he's just running down the field and the stadium shaking like an earthquake. The least you could do is have somebody like trip and fall. No, you couldn't. All right. Okay. We're an hour in, boys. Let's wrap. Let's go around the horn here. Let's bring it back to the point spread. For the gamblers out there, for the people that are looking for hardcore predictions, analysis. Douglas William, let's start with you. Give us a bottom line, what you think's going to happen, and then what you think the score is going to be.
My prediction on the score, as I mentioned earlier, I went with 27-14, Ohio State. I like the under. I think 46.5 is a little too high. My favorite play of the weekend, and I've talked about this all season long, is when you have point spreads around this 8.5 is just an absolutely perfect number. You'd be a fool not to tease this. If there was ever a game set up for a teaser play, it's this one. So my favorite play of the weekend is to tease this down. I would tease this play down with the Philadelphia Eagles, who are 6.5-point favorites against. And so I get the Eagles as a pick 'em.
Wow.
I get the Eagles as a pick 'em along with the Buckeyes at -2.5. You can also tease these guys with Kansas City, who are 8.5-point favorites against the Texans. So you'd have the Buckeyes -2.5, and you'd have the Chiefs -2.5. I will be playing as many teasers as I can with Ohio State as my wheel. I like them to cover the number if I had to pick it. If I had to take them, I would take a -8.5, as I just told you with my prediction. But I like the under as the best straight bet, and I love Ohio State and as many teasers as you can get your hands on.
The Eagles are going to lose. I mean,
Maybe.
I wouldn't. No, it's not maybe.
Okay.
I hate the Eagles.
I'm going to interrupt you real quick. Come here. Got a. Oh, never mind. I didn't realize your nose was bleeding. My bad. I was going to have the future Buckeye say hi to the podcast here, but
Whose nose is bleeding?
Noah. Don't ask.
I won't.
All right, Ed.
Okay,
What's your? Did Ed give your prediction?
That's Ed's.
He's
son.
my oldest son. He'll be
Awesome kid, going to Ohio State for neurospace engineering. Smartest kid you ever know, but he just gets random nosebleeds. Okay, Edward, go ahead. Maybe he can fix that when he's goes to the moon when he's an astronaut. So go ahead. What do you think is going to happen in the score?
I mean, my 1-11 record when put on the spot really speaks for itself here. So,
Doug wasn't paying attention, or else he would have laughed. That was funny.
Yeah.
Hey,
did you? Doug,
apologize. Start over.
I said as far as my analysis goes, I think my 1-11 record when put on the spot speaks for itself. I do agree with Doug. I like the under. Like I said earlier, I think
Kiss of death.
Oh boy!
I think this game's good.
Oh man!
I think this game's going to stay closer than people realize. I see Notre Dame picking up first downs and milking the clock and to keep our offense off the field. I think it's going to be Notre Dame's going to cover. We're never going to be like, oh man, what if they win? Like, it's going to be one of those type of games. Like, the Buckeyes are going to have it in control the whole time, but Notre Dame keeps it close enough to cover.
Okay. Ohio State covers. Notre Dame doesn't score more than 10 points. Ohio State wins 35-10. That's it. There it is. Short and sweet. Douglas, Dominic, Edward, any parting thoughts outside of Buckeye Nation? Anything for the world?
I do have one question. Ed, could you repeat what you said earlier about Riley Leonard? What he was doing to avoid the rush?
He's getting the ball out quick, so it's not going to give.
Didn't hold on to it for 5 seconds.
To get to him.
Didn't hold on to
Touché.
it. Okay, I just want
bringing this full circle to Darnold. I got
yep, he sure did.
I mean,
he
sure did.
The difference
if a college
is,
quarterback can do that.
The difference is, I mean, the level of competition. I mean, Riley Leonard, first of all, even if Riley Leonard had time to throw the ball downfield, he can't throw the ball downfield. It's not what he does. So, I mean, Sam Darnold could chuck it up to wide open Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
But
if he actually slid into a pocket where there wasn't someone around him. I mean, but
Edward, when we go to the home and we talk to Grandpa, we don't try to. We just let him say things.
Yeah,
I love what you did there, Ed. But just let him say. He's playing checkers. He's saying, checkmate. That's right, Grandpa. You say checkmate with checkers. It makes total sense. All right, ladies and gentlemen, on that note, for Douglas Wade, for Dominic Rose, and for Edward Conley, we are going to see you on the flip side here. And I think I speak for all three of you when I say, go Bucks.
Go Bucks.
Go Bucks.
Guys.
Take care, everybody. We will see you on the other side of a national championship. Take care. God bless. And bye-bye.
Do you believe this stuff that's coming out of your mouth? There's no way you do.
This was a credit card cuckold.
Love wins out in the end,